It's no secret that a very low carb and low sugar diet can be an unbelievably powerful tool to lose weight and improve your overall health. But there's a catch. You have to do it properly. That's why some people end up not losing weight on a low sugar and low carb diet. As always, there are levels. So in this video, I'm gonna give you the top 10 foods with no carbs and no sugar. And make sure to stick around until the end because I'm also gonna give you the worst mistakes people make when going low carb. I'm also gonna give you some delicious low carb food swaps so you can still enjoy your favorite foods like pasta and pizza guilt-free. So let's go with each macronutrient, starting with fat. The top healthy fats are extra virgin coconut oil, grass-fed butter, ghee, tallow, and lard for cooking. You can also use first cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil to add some flavor to your vegetables. Now, I mentioned some keywords there like extra virgin, grass-fed, and first cold-pressed. It's extremely important that you consume high-quality fat because it contains the most evolutionary consistent omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acid ratio we evolved to consume as human beings. Here's where the problem starts. When you don't consume high-quality fats like grass-fed butter and tallow, and instead you opt for margarine and cheap industrial oils, that's when things start to go sideways real fast. Those oils are very unstable, they're full of additives and oxidize very easily because they're extremely processed at high temperatures. You should watch how canola oil is made after watching this video. Basically, industrial oils have an imbalanced omega-6 to omega-3 ratio because they're ultra-processed and they've been known to contribute to detrimental health conditions like diabetes, obesity, heart disease, IBS, inflammation, and macular degeneration. One of the many reasons why you should never eat deep-fried fast food products. And in case you didn't know, there's now a plethora of research that shows saturated fat intake is not associated with a higher risk of heart disease. In 2015, the US quietly dropped its caution about eating cholesterol-laden food. So don't be scared of animal fat. Let's talk about protein. Any diet worth its salt should prioritize eating high-quality protein to build and maintain muscle. Because muscle is the mechanism of health. It's your metabolic currency. Animal-based protein contains all the essential amino acids in its most bioavailable form to trigger that all-important muscle protein synthesis. Meaning, it's the highest quality protein you can put in your body. It makes sense. We've been eating animals for thousands of years. One egg, for example, contains 6 grams of protein, healthy fats, and virtually every single nutrient the human body needs to thrive. Eggs contain hard-to-find vitamins and nutrients like retinol, lutein, and choline, which are essential for eye and brain health, as well as other important B vitamins like B1, B2, B3, B6, and B12. There's vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K1, and K2, as well as omega-3 fatty acids. It's basically nature's version of a multivitamin, and most of the nutrients are found in the yolk. When it comes to meat, there's beef, lamb, pork, and chicken. I would prioritize meat consumption in that order. Again, try to buy grass-fed beef if you can, because ruminants like beef and lamb still get to eat an evolutionary consistent diet of grass for most or all their lives. They also have a much better omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acids ratio because they have 4 chambers in their stomach, meaning they can upcycle nutrients better, compared to pork and chicken, which are monogastric animals. 95% of pork and chicken are also fed an evolutionary inconsistent diet of corn and soy, resulting in a higher omega-6 content in their fat. When it comes to seafood, the best quality fish are from the smash family. Salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, and herring because they're high in anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids. Try to buy wild-caught fish. Bivalves like oysters and mussels are also great options. They're extremely nutrient-dense. Speaking of nutrient density, all the foods I've mentioned so far score very high in this amazing new study on nutrient density, especially if you incorporate a little bit of beef organs in your diet. As little as half an ounce of grass-fed liver daily, the size of a quarter, is all you need. Cheese, especially raw cheese, as well as plain organic Greek yogurt are also great options for healthy fats and protein. Raw cheese like Parmigiano Reggiano is a great source of fat-soluble nutrients like vitamin D, A, K2, and E, which help regulate metabolism, protect against illness, and strengthens your bones. Raw cheese is also an excellent source of bioavailable calcium, phosphorus, and magnesium. As always, quality matters. Try to buy high-quality cheese from grass-fed cows and goats. Raw cheese is also easier to digest and more nutrient-dense compared to pasteurized cheese. Next, let's talk about no-carb and no-sugar drinks you can consume. Water is obviously the clear-cut choice. You can also drink unflavored sparkling water, black coffee. You can put a tiny splash of heavy cream if you can't drink it black. There's also green tea, herbal tea like chamomile tea, as well as apple cider vinegar. There's actually compelling data that shows a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar taken before a meal can help with weight loss because it helps flatten your glucose curve. Now, let's talk about a controversial topic. What about artificial sweeteners and diet drinks? The problem with artificial sweeteners and diet drinks is the health halo effect, which almost makes them worse than regular soda because it leads to overconsumption and people end up drinking this stuff like it's water. All you really need to know is that artificial sweeteners, which is what's used to make this stuff 0 calories, is linked to obesity because it destroys your gut microbiome. Listen, nothing that sweet gets a free pass once it enters your system. You can't fool your body. This Northern Manhattan study shows diet soft drink consumption is associated with a 43% increase in risk of vascular events like strokes and heart attacks in people drinking diet sodas. This Oxford study shows a significant association between sugar and artificial sweetened soda consumption and obesity. And here's the kicker. Stevia and other natural sweeteners like monk fruit isn't any better. I know. A human study demonstrated that stevia significantly reduced quorum sensing in the gut. That is not a good thing. Basically, anything that's sweet impacts your cephalic insulin response. It makes your brain think something sweet is coming in and releases insulin. There's a nutritive mismatch that happens with diet sodas and artificial sweeteners, causing a reward prediction error. In short, it messes up your gut and brain. Not a good thing. Now, let's talk about other foods that you can eat that contains little to no carbs, especially when you look at their net carbs minus the fiber, but they can drastically increase your diet adherence because they add some much needed variety to your diet. At the end of the day, long-term diet adherence is the biggest determining factor when it comes to sustainable weight loss. Let's start with some low-carb vegetables. Everyone is different when it comes to the types of vegetables their bodies can tolerate. This is where bio-individuality comes into play. But what you have to consider is that all plants contain defense chemicals called anti-nutrients. This is why you should stay away from leafy greens like spinach, kale, and Swiss chard because they're extremely high in an anti-nutrient called oxalate, the stuff that causes kidney stones. Here you are throwing bags of spinach in your smoothie and eating $25 kale salads at restaurants, and you're most likely doing more harm than good. Better leafy green options you can eat raw that are low in oxalates are things like arugula, cabbage, and romaine lettuce. Granted, some of these anti-nutrients can be lowered when you cook your vegetables, which leads me to one of my all-time favorite vegetables, cauliflower. Cauliflower is basically the ultimate low-carb vegetable because it has a similar texture to potatoes minus all the carbs. It's also neutral in flavor, which means you can cook and season it any way you like. You can make cauliflower rice, cauliflower mash, cauliflower pizza, hash browns, and lasagna. There are endless recipes online to choose from. Zucchini is another low-carb vegetable superstar. Zucchini also has a neutral flavor that allows it to be used as a great substitute for higher carb foods. It can be used for so many things like zucchini noodles or zoodles. You can make zucchini boat pizzas, stuffed zucchini, zucchini lasagna, zucchini fries, and zucchini bread. Broccoli and Brussels sprouts are also great veggie options. Throw it in the oven with some sliced bacon. Or you can have it as a side dish with some butter or extra virgin olive oil with some sea salt. There's also bell peppers. You can stuff them with meat and cheese and throw them in the oven. You can also eat eggplant. You can make delicious eggplant lasagna with it. There's mushrooms. You can saute them. You can throw them in an omelet, or you can stuff them, again, with meat and cheese, or you can make mushroom soup. I used to be guilty of this, but if you don't like vegetables, I'd argue that you just don't know how to prepare them properly. As you can see, the secret is throwing them in the oven. You can also eat fermented food like kimchi and sauerkraut, which is made out of cabbage. They're very easy and cheap to make. And in case you didn't know, eating fermented foods can boost the number of beneficial bacteria or probiotics in your gut. Probiotics are associated with a variety of health benefits, including improved digestion and better immunity, and even weight loss. Next, let's talk about fruit. Low carb and low sugar fruit options are things like avocados, olives, as well as berries like blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, and raspberries. A little bit of berries with some plain organic Greek yogurt can make for a great healthy dessert option. Now, in a perfect world, you're always buying organic fruits and vegetables to minimize pesticide exposure. Pesticides are a known obesogen because of how it negatively impacts gut health. So make sure to check out EWG.org's Dirty Dozen list and Clean 15. When it comes to nuts and seeds, the best low-carb options are chia seeds, flax seeds, pumpkin, and hemp seeds. When it comes to nuts, there's macadamia nuts, pecans, and walnuts. The general rule of thumb when it comes to nuts and seeds is that you want to treat them more as a garnish and not as a healthy snack, because nuts and seeds are actually extremely high in anti-nutrients like oxalates and phytic acids, which chelates minerals because nuts and seeds are the plant's baby. It contains the most defense chemicals. They're also very calorie dense and are easy to overeat. That's a bad combination. So the general rule of thumb for nuts and seed consumption is around half an ounce per day, or around 15 grams. Like I said, treat it as a garnish. And if you revolve 90% of your diet around the foods I just mentioned, you're gonna lose all your stubborn fat and improve your health, guaranteed. Because you're eliminating all the ultra-processed and refined foods from your diet. Addition by subtraction. And as you can see, you don't necessarily have to give up your favorite foods like pasta and pizza. You can just make lateral shifts and make the low-carb option, like zucchini noodles, making eggplant lasagna, and cauliflower crust pizza. As always, real food is the answer. Now, if you enjoyed this video, then you don't want to ignore this one. I'll see you there.